meet Henry. Hi, Henry. Say hello to the folks. That's my buddy Henry. Between Henry and the Z8. Oh, there goes Henry. He didn't want to talk today. Hey, welcome to another video. I thought it was time that my buddy Henry gets his own video. And you'd say, why? Good question. Well, I met Henry about 1.5 years ago. And at that time, I was using a Nikon Z7II with, I think at that time, my 80-200 2.8 lens was still working. The autofocus doesn't work on it anymore, unfortunately. Beautiful lens, but I think I just used it up too much. At that time, oh, and there's spoonbills. I haven't seen spoonbills in a while. Well, let that be a lesson to you and to me. I haven't seen a spoonbill down here in several months. The one day I don't bring my camera because it's a little overcast, looked like it was going to rain. And I decided to just make this video. Not only is there a spoonbill, of course I see Henry. I see Henry pretty much every day. But another heron. And no camera. So I did go home, get my camera, I get back, no herons. Spoonbill was still around. So if I got a decent picture, I'll pop it up now. But I did want to talk about how Henry kind of saved my photography in a way. One bird. For the longest time, the majority of what I was photographing was high school sports. And I freelanced for a company called Max Preps. And I sold some photos through them. Not a lot, but enough to keep my interest. But I was out photographing my kids' high school sports anyway. I was there. So it aided me in getting a press pass, and I got a few bucks out of it. But at that time, I was shooting with a D700, and mostly that 80-200 2.8 lens. Wonderful lens. At D700, there are days I regret selling that thing. Man, the colors that came off that sensor, I think it was only 12 megapixel. But man, that was some camera. And I think a lot of people will tell you that own the D700. I apologize if I sound a little out of breath. I was kind of jogging pretty fast to get back to get my camera. And it's hot out. Anyway, back to Henry. So I had a lull of several years where I wasn't really doing much photography, a little bit of landscape maybe. Hear the osprey? There was a lull of several years, and I sold the D700 and got the D750. Used it for a while, nice camera, no complaints with it. But I was only using my camera maybe 3 times a year, 4 times a year. And then unfortunately, I've mentioned a few times, I had my friend Tom, who was one of my mentors in photography. He passed away, left me a little bit of money. And he always told me that he wanted me to take some of it and put it towards camera equipment. So I upgraded from the D750 to the D850. And this was just after COVID that I went to the D850. Everybody's locked down and non-sociable, and I didn't get a chance to use it a whole lot. Little bit, but what I could do was come out here at this lake and wander around and not have people mad at me if I didn't wear a mask. But it was a little bit after that I decided that because I was going to upgrade my lenses, that I would take a look at the mirrorless. And I did look at Sony, I looked at Canon, I even looked at Leica. But I had been a Nikon guy for a long time. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not even in their program where I can borrow lenses or that kind of thing. So they offer me nothing. But I am loyal to them to a large extent, just on my own. I just believe in their products. I like their products. But what attracted me was if I was going to have to upgrade my lenses, it was more the lenses in the Z mount that attracted me. I still think that Z mount has a lot of potential, and I didn't want to throw money at older technology. As good as some of those F lenses still are, I wanted to upgrade to the Z mount and the Z system. So I went out and bought a Z7II. Wonderful camera if you want to shoot portraits and landscapes. A lot harder if you want to shoot Henry. Not shoot Henry, photograph Henry. Henry's my buddy. So I met Henry and I tried to photograph him with the Z7II. And at that point, Nikon really didn't have the lenses out yet for wildlife. And so I was stuck using the 24-200 variable aperture lens on a Z7II, trying to photograph birds. That was frustrating. And I'd go out and try to shoot these herons, and it just wasn't working. And again, I got frustrated with photography. Yeah, eventually COVID started to let up a little bit, and I'd see my grandkids, maybe some other people. We traveled to North Carolina, Smoky Mountains, and did a trip out there where I got a few photographs. But my interest in photography was still somewhat waning. So I waited for the Z8 to come out. I didn't get the Z9. I'm an older, grumpy guy. I couldn't really handle a Z9. So I waited for the Z8. Had met Henry, was photographing Henry with that combination of the 24-200 and the Z7II. It was just so frustrating. So once the Z8 came out, and then the 24-120 came out, photographing Henry became a lot easier. And my interest in photography started to peak. Not only there, but then I wanted to travel again. And we went to Alaska, we went to Iceland. Being I live in a warm climate, I sure like to visit colder climates once in a while with mountains, so I don't get to see them. Piqued my interest in doing some of those things again. Quite frankly, it made it a whole lot easier to photograph Henry. And I started to get up every day and take my camera out and look for Henry. And the reason why I like Henry so much is Henry's not camera shy. And Henry, at times, will talk to me. I realize it sounds a little nutty, but I do think Henry recognizes me, because I see him all the time. I would never dare to try to go out and pet him or anything like that. I'm not that nutty. But I can get within a couple feet of Henry, and he just looks at me. And I've gotten several close-ups of him. And he restored my wanting to go out and shoot photographs again. That one bird and the Nikon Z8. It just changed everything. It made me want to photograph other things in photography, different genres. I began doing a little bit of street photography. I started doing more travel photography. I started taking more photographs of my family again. Because of that, I thought I would do a video where I would show you some of the images I came up with photographing Henry over the past 12, 13 months. Because I've talked about him so often in some of my videos, I became very aware of Henry's patterns, where he would be, what time of day he'd probably be somewhere, where he'd be after he was done fishing, where he'd be while he was fishing. He had his own little territory, and it made me learn to appreciate not only Henry, but even though I had been photographing this lake for decades, it really made me pay a lot closer attention to the patterns of these birds, not just Henry. And it gave me a much greater appreciation. And had I stuck with the Z7II and that 24-200 lens, which I still have the Z7II, I've used it for some of my videos, but I've sold off the 24-200. It was a good travel lens. It's just not a lens for me, for what I wanted to photograph. So when the 24-120 came out, it was just a lot better for me. Now I use that, and I also use the Tamron 70-300 for my wildlife photographs as well. I kind of go back and forth between the 24-120. Some days I take that, sometimes I take the 70-300. I haven't gone back and done a study to see, okay, which more bangers do I have with which lens. I'm going to guess it's the 24-120, but I don't think that there's a wide difference. The image quality on the 24-120 is maybe a hair better than the Tamron. Tamron's a good lens. The reason why I got it over the 100-400 Nikon, first of all, I don't know that it was out yet. Might have been. But the cost factor, the Tamron was roughly a third of the price. And it's a whole lot lighter. And because I'm not shooting sports anymore, I went with the Tamron. Just a personal choice. If I was still shooting high school sports, I'd have the Nikon, the 100-400. There's no doubt I would have that lens over the Tamron. And so for me, it made more sense, it made more sense to have the Tamron. But I wanted to pay Henry his due, because that one bird really helped me enjoy photography again. And the Nikon Z8 over the Z7II for shooting wildlife now really piqued my interest again. Had I stayed trying to photograph Henry with that Z7II, I probably would have quit. It just was too frustrating. I could never get that eye sharp. And granted, I don't always get the eye sharp with the Z8, but I get it sharp a whole lot more than I did with the Z7II. Now, if I was just a travel guy, I'd have just stayed with the Z7II. So I'm not trying to pick on that camera. I'm just saying if you're a birder, there are advantages to the Z8. That's all I'm trying to say. So that's about it. Please like and subscribe. While I'm filming this, I don't think I've touched 1,000 subscribers yet, so the contest is still on. Go back and look at my last couple of videos. You can put your name in for one of my prints. I'd appreciate it. And until next time, thanks for watching. Take good care and enjoy a little montage of some Henry, the bird that helped me love photography again. See ya.